my room is completely empty because I'm getting ready for the summer. And you should join me on the CFS story. So hello and welcome to my third video here on the CFS story. This video is going to be a little bit different from my first two videos. The first two videos were heavily scripted, by which I mean I wrote everything down in exactly the way that I was going to record it later. Practiced it a couple of times and then started talking in front of the camera. And I did that because I needed this structure to help me and guide me through my videos. But I want this whole channel to be much more like a vlog, more spontaneous, out of the moment, and a little bit more authentic of me in the way I talk. And so this video is not scripted. I have a couple of notes on the side. I know what I want to talk about, but it's going to be much more fully. And so we'll just see how that goes. Before I start talking about this title up here, I thought that I'm going to use the first couple of minutes of this video today to talk a little bit more about myself. At this point right now, I think most people watching are direct friends and family, and that's great. I love to have you all here with me, but I hope that in the future also people start watching my vlog that have not met me personally. And so for those people, I thought it might be great to just have a little bit of background information, who I am, where I'm from, what I'm doing right now, that might help you to understand a little bit more about this vlog thing. And so yeah, let's just jump right into it. First things first, as you might have already noticed, I am not from an English-speaking country. English is not my first language, that's probably very easy to tell. And the reason I'm recording this in English is actually twofold. The one thing is, I'm living right now in the United States, or more specifically in upstate New York, and so English is the language that I use every single day, and that's the language that I use most. But also secondly, I have a lot of friends here in America, I have a lot of friends at other places around the globe whose first language is not my first language. And so English is just the greatest common denominator, and using that allows people to watch my vlog that otherwise could not follow. As most of you probably can tell from my accent, I was born and raised in the beautiful country of Germany. And let me just make you a little quick sketch here of Germany. Yeah, perfect. This is how Germany looks, and I am from here. This place is called Essen. That's the city I was born in, where I live, where I went to high school. It's a city that was completely destroyed during Second World War. Everything that's there is rebuilt in the 50s and 60s, brutalist kind of architecture, but a really nice and interesting cultural space. So yeah, that's where I'm from, that's where I was born, and that's where I spent most time of my life so far. The reason that I'm not in Germany right now is that I started a graduate degree program. I'm in a dual master's program at Cornell University here in Ithaca in upstate New York, and I'm a dual major in landscape architecture and city and regional planning. And I just finished my fourth semester. The last review was on Friday. We have one exam left on Wednesday, and then I'm done with my whole second year. My master's in total will last 3.5 years, so I have a good amount of time left, probably 3 semesters, maybe 2, but more likely 3, that I'm definitely going to be here in the US. My undergrad I did in a different town in southern Germany, which is roughly here, and which has a letter that most of you don't have in your languages. It's a place called Tübingen. It's a little student town, much like Ithaca here in the United States, and there I did a dual bachelor's program in political science, Chinese, and communications. And 1 year of my undergrad time, I spent 4 years in undergrad, was in a place called Taiwan. You might have heard of this. It's an island that looks roughly like that, and I spent most of my time up here in Taipei. And if you ever have the chance to visit this place, this is my absolutely favorite city. And before we jump into the summer, I can already say that I might be able to go to Taipei this summer and be able to show you some of this place, and that'll be totally amazing. Besides that, I don't know what else is important to know. I have a younger sister who studies right down here. It's a place called Passau, which is right next to the Austrian border, and then I have a girlfriend which I'm going to visit soon, which is living down here. That's outside the German border. Right next to us is France, and she's living in Paris right now. And yeah, so I think that's a good start. So let me talk about the summer. After having finished classes on Wednesday, I am going to head out pretty soon. I'm leaving this country on Friday. I'm going to go down to New York City and fly out of JFK right into Frankfurt, where I'm going to meet with one of my best friends, and I'm going to stay in Frankfurt for a couple of days, apply for a visa that I need to go to China later this summer, and then I'm going to spend a couple of days with my parents in Essen, and then most of my time of the summer, before I do start my internship in China, I am going to spend with my girlfriend in Paris. She's absolutely not excited about being on a YouTube video at all, so I am very excited about ignoring her wishes and putting her in a video either way. She is doing an internship right now at the Goethe Institute in Paris, and so she's not going to have a lot of time, but it's still good to see each other because we're only have the chance to see each other twice a year roughly, because we're living so far apart at the moment. But afterwards, I am going to go to Beijing. I have an internship with a landscape architecture firm named Tourandscape in Beijing, and I've been to that place before. I love the city. It's going to be really cool because the summertime in Beijing is the best time, because most of the smog, the really bad smog, happens in winter, so the summer is a little bit nicer weather-wise, and also Beijing has just a lot to offer. And the reason I am talking about all of this is that I have a very concrete plan for this summer, and I want to start integrating a new habit into my everyday life, and I think the summer is going to be the perfect time to do so. And so let me explain a little bit what I mean. So normally when I go traveling or go away over summer, I take a lot of books with me. I have always at least, let's say, roughly 10 books with me, like a bunch like that. And then in addition to that, I also bring my Amazon Kindle or whatever. And so I love reading, and it's not that I'm not reading at all when I'm in the summer. I'm reading actually a lot, but the thing is, I always carry around this crazy amount of books with me. And what then happens is that I try to start with the thinnest ones, because I think if I get all the thin ones read, I have more times for the thicker ones, and I've read most of the books that I brought, and I kind of have the feeling I accomplished something. So I start reading all of these, and then while I'm reading these, I'm kind of getting in a rush, because I have the feeling there's so many books left that I haven't read yet that I really want to read over the summer, that I'm still reading the books, but it's more a superficial skimming of the text instead of like a really deep reading. And then in the end, these books, the really thick ones, I actually never get to, because I spent most of the time rushing through the books, through the thinner ones that I really wanted to get out of the way. And then in the end, I end up carrying a ton of weight around with me and reading stuff, but also not reading it really in depth. And so I could just not read at all half the feeling, because what I'm getting out of the books is not exactly what I want. Let me put these down. So I want to do it differently this summer, and I have Googled a lot and heard a lot of podcasts about different reading strategies, and the one thing that I want to adopt this time is find a strategy that allows me to read much more deeply, much more in depth, and with much more relaxation, which much more time to get really down into the books. And so what I've decided for this summer is that I am only going to bring 2 books with me, and those books are those 2 here. The one is called Vagabonding, an Uncommon Guide to the Art of Long-Term World Travel by Rolf, which was recommended to me through Tim Ferriss, which is one of my very favorite podcasts that you all should check out, the Tim Ferriss Show. He read this book while he was on a year-long journey. He also had only 2 books with him, and the Vagabonding book was one of his. The other book is called The History of Western Philosophy by Bertrand Russel. And this book was recommended to me by Sam Harris, which is the other great person I really look up to. He has an amazing podcast too. It's called Waking Up with the Waking Up Podcast with Sam Harris. And so yes, I'm going to take these 2 books with me in the summer, and the plan is to not only read them with time and really in depth, like marking and making notes and making markers, putting markers in there, but also once I have finished them and I have the feeling, oh, I really want to have another book because I have the time now, I will not allow myself that. I will not accept any presents from anyone. If you feel like sending me books, don't do it right now, because what I will do instead is go back and read these books over again, because I think reading once gives you a good understanding and overview of what the book is about, but if you really want to get into a more in-depth understanding of reading, I think reading it multiple times is a really necessary thing, and that is something that we almost never practice. We read a book once and then have the feeling we know it, and so we can just get to the next one. And I think we're losing a lot of information and in-depth understanding if we do so. So I'm going to try doing my reading this summer a little bit differently. If you are interested in doing something like that too, please do so. I'm going to put a link to those two books in the show notes down in the description. But I'd also be interested in the books you decide on reading. So if you start a project, or if you don't have a project like this, you're just reading over the summer, let me know what books you're reading and put that in the comments. I'd really be interested to know what I probably could read during my next summer. Quick change of perspectives here. So originally I was going to talk next about how to create a reading habit, but I realized when I went back to my computer editing that the whole vlog was already pretty long, in total longer than 30 minutes. And I'm pretty sure you do not have that time and you do not want to spend that watching one of my videos. So I'm going to split the whole thing into two parts. This is part one, and then sometime later this week I'm going to release part two later, which is going to be about how to create a reading habit. I'm going to wear the whole thing, the same dress, because it's already filmed. Just don't be confused. So if you like the first part and if you want to watch the next part, the red button down here lets you subscribe, and also a click on the logo right here in the lower left hand corner lets you subscribe too. So thanks for watching and see you soon.